All right. So our topic are will be your ascending tracks, no? So there are two types of ascending tracks. We have the tracks that will arise from the back of the neck, back of the head, I should say, back of the head, the neck, the trunk, and the extremities. The other type will be those that will arise from the anterior aspect of the head, or in other words, from the face. Okay. So we'll take up first those that arise from the back of the head, the neck, and the trunk and extremities. No? So let's look at first the intended learning outcomes. We're going to discuss first your somatic sensations, the receptors and their functions. We're going to discuss, of course, the ascending tracks, specifically for your general senses of the body and the back of the head first, and of course, including for the extremities. And we hope to give you some common clinical conditions related to your ascending pathways. So to begin with, let me just mention to you the somatic sensations that we have. We have four major types. First is pain, which is usually elicited by what we call noxious stimulation. And then we have thermal sensations, which is either cold or warm. And then we have position sense or proprioception, which are evoked by mechanical changes in either the muscles or the joints. And then again, lastly, we have touch and pressure, which are elicited by mechanical stimulation applied to the surface of the body. So these are the four types of somatic sensation we have. Now, these somatic sensations will be converted, no, by your nerve endings into by your stimuli. The stimuli, I should say, will be converted by nerve endings into impulses. No? So the sensory nerve endings are also known as your receptors. And again, these receptors, as I said, will convert your sensory your sensory stimuli, no, either from the outside or within the body into what we call afferent nerve impulses. So the afferent nerve impulses will eventually pass on, of course, into your CNS and will initiate either voluntary or involuntary responses. Okay. Now, these are the functional classifications of your receptors. No? We have the mechanoreceptors, which of course respond to mechanical deformation, exemplified by your receptors for touch, light and deep pressure, your proprioceptors, no? What we call your tendon organs, and your neuromuscular spindles. Then we also have your thermoreceptors, which of course respond to changes in temperature. No? Some will respond to cold, and then again, others will respond to heat. Then we have what we call the nociceptors. These are the receptors that respond to any stimuli that bring about damage to tissue. In other words, that will cause pain. No? So, yun po, no? Tawag sa receptors niya, nociceptors. Then we have the electromagnetic receptors. These are exemplified by your rods and cones of the eyes, which are sensitive to your changes in light intensity and wavelength. Lastly, we have what we call your chemoreceptors, which respond to chemical changes, no? Like, for example, those associated with taste and smell, and the changes in your blood gases. No? Like, for example, as we said, no, the changes in the amount of oxygen or the amount of carbon dioxide in the blood. Okay. So these are the types of receptors that we have based on function. And then again, we have receptors that can be classified based on structure. For structural classification, we say we have what we call the simple receptors, which are non-encapsulated. These are exemplified by what we call your free branch or unbranched nerve endings. No? So usually we say free nerve endings. And these are the ones that respond specifically to cutaneous pain and temperature. Now, these types of receptors are barely visible. No? They cannot be seen under light microscopy. You need special staining to be able to see them. And then the other type will be your compound receptors. And this one will be the encapsulated receptor. No? So the simple is non-encapsulated. The compound is encapsulated. So your encapsulated receptors involve non-neural tissues complementing a neural receptor. In other words, compound receptors are made up of what we call the non-neural tissue will be your connective tissue, and the connective tissue will usually envelope your nerve ending. Kaya ayon, we have a non-neural tissue with a neural receptor. Now, the degree of organization of the encapsulated receptors come with the maybe highly sophisticated, maybe in highly sophisticated arrangements that you find in the eye and the ear. Okay, so the ones that you find in the eye and the ear, also for smell and taste, are described as organs of special senses, and therefore are not included here as your compound or simple receptors. Kasi siya nga po these are the ones that are of highly sophisticated organization. So these are the classification by which your receptors may be classified either by function or by structure. Now, what are the receptors that we may use, especially with our drugs? First, we have what we call your free nerve endings, which are, as we said, for detecting pain, thermal stimuli, crude touch, pressure, and tickle sensations. Then we also have your hair follicle receptors. This can perceive movements of the hair. Like, for example, you put your hand on top of the head where you have your long hair. So when you do that, try to do that. You can already appreciate something touching your head. So again, the receptor there will be your hair follicle receptors. Then we have what we call the Merkel's tactile disc, which appreciates touch, and the Vater-Passanian corpuscle, which we usually say appreciates vibration and also pressure. Meissner's corpuscle appreciates light, discriminatory touch. We'll describe to you later on what we mean by discriminatory touch. Okay, so and then we have Ruffini's corpuscle. Previously, we said that Ruffini's is for appreciation of gold, but nowadays we say that it is for appreciation of stretch or twisting in the skin. Like when you pinch the skin, there's twisting in the skin that will be appreciated by Ruffini's corpuscle. And then we have the Krausen bulb, usually for low frequency vibrations. Previously also, this we said was for detecting cold. Then we have the receptors for proprioception. First, you have your neuromuscular spindle, which is detects proprioception regarding muscle length and rate of change in muscle length. Now, this kind of receptor, by the way, is found in your muscle, whereas the neurotendinous spindle, or otherwise known as the Golgi tendon organ, is found in the tendon. No? So, back-to-back sila. No? Yung muscle spindle, tas katikit niya yung Golgi tendon. So, in other words, no, this is also for proprioception, but specifically regarding tension of muscles. Yeah. So, this will be the receptors that we may use for specifically our ascending tracts that we're going to see in a little while. All right. So again, this is a table that shows you those receptors. Note, no? The free nerve endings, the Merkels, the nerve follicle receptors are considered non-encapsulated, whereas the rest are capsulated already, no? Encapsulated. So here we also see where we find these receptors and what type of receptors they are and what modality they usually appreciate. Okay. So let's move on now and look at how they look like in the skin. They are usually found, of course, in the dermis. So again, this is an example of your free nerve endings. And this one, on the other hand, is an example of your Merkel's tactile disc. This one is an example of your Meissner's corpuscle. And here, look at this, the very big one. This is an example of your Vater-Passinian corpuscle. Okay, so you may examine this picture at your own leisure, no? So this again, as I said, are the receptors that you may find, of course, usually in the dermis. Okay, so let's proceed and look now at the what we call the anatomical organization of your somatosensory pathways. No? It is said to be a 3-neuron plan. No? So what are the neurons? We usually designate the neurons as N1, N2, N3, and so forth. So here it says, from your sensory nerve ending, we then get into your first order neuron, which is usually in the dorsal root ganglion. Remember, the impulses that we're speaking of here came from your trunk and the extremities, no, mainly from the trunk and extremities. And that is why, for this purpose, we're going to pass through the spinal cord. No? So, yan po. So, firstly, we pass through the dorsal root until we reach the dorsal root ganglion, which is designated as your N1. No? So, this is the first type of or first kind of neuron that you will encounter. Then, from the dorsal root ganglion, we enter our spinal cord. So, look at this. No? So, this will be your here, no? This will be your sensory modalities. This will be your sensory nerve endings. We enter through the dorsal root until we get to your dorsal root ganglion. And of course, we enter still your dorsal root until we reach your nuclei in the spinal cord. So the nuclei in the spinal cord, of course, will become your N2. No? So that is why we say here, N2 is in the spinal cord. So from the spinal cord, we usually decussate, no? And once we decussate, we already ascend, going towards your thalamus, where we again encounter the third neuron, no? Or what we call N3, until we go eventually, of course, to your cerebral cortex, specifically the sensory cortex, no? Or what we usually say as your post-central gyrus or your Brodmann area 312. Ayon. So this is the track by which we will pass through in your somatosensory pathways. Don't forget, you usually only have 3 neurons that we will pass through. No? Pero sa iba po, may pwedeng marami pa, no? More than 3. Okay? Anyway, so this is the basic, as we were saying. So let's proceed and look now at the pathways we're going to pass through. No? So there are pathways, no, that mediate conscious sensation, and this will be your lateral spinothalamic tract that mediate pain and temperature, your ventral spinothalamic tract that mediates touch and pressure, fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cognatus, which mediates two modalities. First will be your discriminative modalities, and the other one will be your position sense or your proprioception. No? So dalawa po ang kinikerring modality ng ating fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cognatus. So don't forget, these are the pathways that will reach consciousness. No? So we say they are the ones that will mediate conscious sensations. And then there are those that will mediate unconscious sensation. No? We have two here. You have the spinocerebellar tracts and your spinoreticular tracts. No? So the spinocerebellar, of course, will provide information to your cerebellum. No? Specifically, information regarding coordination of voluntary movements. The spinoreticular pathways, on the other hand, provide information to the brainstem tegmentum and your reticular formation to mediate specifically reflexes, no? Both somatic and visceral reflexes. No? For our purposes, we're not going to discuss the spinoreticular pathways. We're only going to discuss up to the spinocerebellar pathways, no? Regarding, of course, as I was saying, the pathways that pass from the body upwards to the cerebral cortex, no? From the trunk, from the limbs, from the back of the head and the neck. No? Those are the areas from which the impulses will arise. Okay. So let's look now at our first pathway, which is your pain and temperature pathway, as we said, mediated by the lateral spinothalamic tract. So the receptors, of course, will be your free nerve endings. These are non-myelinated nerve fibers, by the way. Now, there's a note here. No, it says, your pain and temperature impulses are transmitted by two types of fibers. If your pain is initial and sharp, this will be transmitted by your fast-conducting A fibers. If your pain, on the other hand, is prolonged, burning and aching, this will be transmitted by your slow-conducting C fibers. So, dalawa klase ng fibers natin, ano? Depending upon the pain we're carrying. And so anyway, from the body, no, from the somatic wall, which will appreciate the pain, of course, will then go through your dorsal root until we reach your dorsal root ganglion. No? Then, at the tip of the dorsal horn, no, specifically your dorsolateral sulcus, no? So the axons here from the dorsal root ganglion will divide into short ascending and descending fibers, forming what we call the dorsolateral tract of Lissauer. This is only a very short tract, no? We'll show you that briefly in a little while. No? Anyway, once we have passed through the dorsolateral tract of Lissauer, the fibers here now will enter, no, the posterior horn of the spinal cord, no? And so we get to the N2. So what is now our N2? Our N2 will be your posteromarginal nucleus, the substantia gelatinosa, and of course your nucleus proprius as well, which, as we will know, is found in your laminae 1 to 5. If you remember, laminae 1 to 5 is the sensory horn, no, of your is found in the sensory horn of your spinal cord. Ayan, get laminae 1 to 5. So from here, we pass downwards, no, by interneurons, no, that will connect with your laminae 6 to 8, then cross over through the ventral white commissure to the opposite lateral wide column. So now we're in the opposite side and we're now going to ascend as your lateral spinothalamic tract. Now, as we said, we have two types of pain being carried. No? If we are carrying the sharp pricking pain, the next destination will be your N3, which is in the ventral posterolateral nucleus of the thalamus. No? So take note, if your origin of impulses is in the body and the limbs, the area in the thalamus that will go to will be your VPLN. No? So ayan po, VPLN or ventral posterolateral nucleus. On the other hand, if the pain that you're carrying is burning, aching pain, no, we're going instead to the reticular formation or to the nuclei of the thalamus, what we call your intralaminar nuclei, as well as the posterior nuclear complex. No? So in other words, we have two destinations in the thalamus, no? Depending upon the pain that we are carrying. Anyway, from the thalamus, we eventually pass through the posterior limb of your internal capsule, then through your corona radiata until we reach your post-central gyrus of the cerebral cortex. Ayan, no? So these are the things that you have to know regarding your lateral spinothalamic tract. Now let's look at the tract for us to appreciate it better. Let's look at this instead, no? Kasi mas maiksi dito. So look at this. So here, no, it shows you that from the source of impulses, we enter through your dorsal root and we pass, of course, through your dorsal root ganglion where we have your N1. And as shown here, we then enter into your spinal cord where we may pass through this very short tract. Can you see that? That will be your dorsolateral tract of Lissauer. That one, that very small one. No? So from the dorsolateral tract of Lissauer, we enter into your spinal cord. We go to your nuclei. No, remember your substantia gelatinosa, your nucleus proprius, and your posteromarginal nucleus. No, so again, no, we said that was in laminae 1 to 5. So from there, we go over, no, downwards, supposed to be a little downwards, no, passing through the laminae 6 to 8 until we cross over. So ito na po, nag-cross over na. And once we cross over, we end up in the lateral wide column, as shown here, no? It ended, when we cross over, it ended in the lateral wide column. And once we are in the lateral wide column, you already ascend, as noted here, no, ascended until it reached the thalamus here. No? So yun na po, nasa thalamus na. So as we said, in the thalamus, we have two locations, no, depending upon the type of pain that we have, but eventually, we pass, as noted, through the posterior limb of the internal capsule. This is corona radiata, which is, by the way, projection fibers, no? And we ended up in your cerebral cortex. Ayan, no? So that is the kwento of your lateral spinothalamic tract. Okay? So let's move on and look at another tract. This time, you have your crude touch and pressure pathway, which is carried by your ventral spinothalamic tract. So here, the receptors will be your Meissner's or your Pacinian corpuscles. Kasi iba naman yung na dinadala natin ditong sensory modality, di ba? Kanina, iba din. So now, it's the same, no? We enter eventually through your dorsal root ganglion, no, where we have N1. And from here, we get again to your dorsolateral sulcus, where we form initially again your dorsolateral tract of Lissauer. Ayan, let's see Lissauer. And from the Lissauer's tract, that's the time we already entered into your nuclei of the posterior horn. Ayan. Let's look at the horn, the nuclei. So yan na. Posterior horn nuclei, which is now N2. So from here, as noted here, we pass through your laminae 1 to 5, where you have your nuclei, sensory nuclei, di ba? And then we pass again downwards by interneurons to your laminae 6 and 8, 6 to 8, I should say. And from there, we cross over, by your Y commissure to end up in your, this time, look at this, in your ventral funiculus. Bakit ventral funiculus? Because this one is ventral spinothalamic tract. In contrast to the lateral spinothalamic tract, if you notice, we ended up in the lateral funiculus. So anyway, so again, we ascend and eventually reach, of course, your VPLN. So here we have no deviation, okay? It's just straight to VPLN, okay? Because there is no differentiation in our type of crude touch and pressure that will go to your thalamus. So eventually, again, we pass through the posterior limb of the internal capsule and corona radiata, of course, until we reach your post-central gyrus of the cerebral cortex. Now, we have a note here which says, the anterolateral system or the spinal lemniscus refers to the combined lateral spinothalamic and ventral spinothalamic tract, since these two tracts lay side by side. Ito po, if you look at the picture here, this is your anterior spinothalamic tract. This one here is your lateral spinothalamic tract. Magkadikit lang sila. Kaya we may usually refer to them as a single system, what we call the anterolateral system. Yun. So again, these are the tracts that you may encounter. Again, don't forget, this one is carrying touch and pressure. Now, again, this is the pathway. Look at that. Actually, entirely the same dun sa kanina. Again, we have here, of course, your impulses passing through your dorsal horn, in your dorsal horn, dorsal root ganglion. Then we enter into your spinal cord, again forming briefly your Lissauer's tract until we finally reach, of course, your spinal cord nuclei. So from the spinal cord nuclei, we will eventually cross over to the opposite side and ascend to your thalamus, specifically to your ventro-posterolateral nucleus. And eventually, ang ending natin, of course, is in the post-central gyrus. Dito parate. Always, yan ang ending kasi we're speaking of somatosensory impulses. Isa lang ang ating destination. That will be your somesthetic cortex. Okay? So that will be your light or crude touch and pressure pathway. Now, let's go look at another pathway. This one is different. So we call it the discriminative touch and pressure pathway. Take note, this is specifically for discriminative touch and pressure pathway. And this one passes through your dorsal column or through the medial lemniscal pathway. So the receptors, of course, will still be Meissner's or Pacinian. Again, we pass through your N1, your dorsal root ganglion. But here this time, we do not cross over. We just pass ipsilateral until we reach the dorsal column. So same side to, we go to your dorsal column, or same side as noted, and travel upward through your fasciculus gracilis or fasciculus cuneatus. So yan, kasi yun nandun yung dorsal column, di ba? Nasa dorsal column, I should say, ang fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Until we reach your nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus as our N2. So once we reach your nuclei gracilis or nuclei cuneatus, this nuclei will send off internal arcuate fibers that will cross over. So ito pa lang yung magde-decossate, no, as internal arcuate fibers that will form what we call the medial lemniscus. Ayun. And the medial lemniscus will now ascend in the brainstem to reach again your BPLN. No? Same pathway lang ha, pagdating sa mga dulo ha. We get to your BPLN, then we pass through the posterior limb of the internal capsule and corona radiata, again until we reach your postcentral gyrus of the cerebral cortex. So let's look at this pathway. So here, look at this. So this we have here your discriminative modalities. Again, we pass through your dorsal root until your dorsal root ganglion. So we get into your spinal cord. And here we immediately pass upwards towards your nucleus cuneatus and gracilis. As noted here, we pass ipsilateral specifically through your fasciculus, gracilis, and cuneatus. Ayan, nakalagay. Through your fasciculus, gracilis, and cuneatus until we reach the nuclei. Ayan na. So note ha, the nuclei are still ipsilateral. So from the nuclei, this will send off, as noted, what we call the internal arcuate fibers that will decossate. Ayun na po, no? Sila yung nag-cross over. And this will now form, as we said, your medial lemniscus. Ayun, nakalagay na. Medial lemniscus na siya, no? So as medial lemniscus, it eventually ascends upwards towards your thalamus, specifically again in the BPLN, and we pass onwards until we reach, of course, your somesthetic cortex. Now, we have a note here which says, we may use fasciculus gracilis if the impulses we're carrying are from the lower extremity. Likewise, we use fasciculus cuneatus if the impulses we're carrying are from the upper extremity. As such, if our source of impulses is the lower extremity, we enter the spinal cord through the sacral, lumbar, and lower thoracic segments. Or if we come from the upper extremity, we enter the spinal cord through the cervical and upper thoracic segments. So note ha, magkaiba po ang dadaanan natin sa spinal cord, no? Depending upon which area we came from, no? Depending upon whether it came from the upper extremity or whether it came from the lower extremity. Don't forget, if it's upper extremity, we use the fasciculus cuneatus, eventually ending in the nucleus cuneatus. If we came from the lower extremity, of course, we'll pass through the fasciculus gracilis, eventually ending up into your nucleus gracilis, no? And then again, don't forget that before we can get to the spinal cord, we have to pass through these levels of the spinal cord, no, to get into it, no? Ayan. Don't forget, if it's gracilis, we pass through the sacral, lumbar, up to the lower 6 thoracic segments. Whereas if it's cuneatus, we enter the spinal cord through the cervical and upper 6 thoracic segments. Okay? So yan ha, don't forget. Now, these are your discriminative touch modalities, no? You have what we call 2-point discrimination, which is the ability to recognize 2 points at which pressure is applied simultaneously. No? Sabay mong mag-a-apply ng 2 points, and usually the 2 points are near each other. We usually apply the 2 points with the eyes closed of the patient. And after that, we ask the patient where he felt the 2 points. Ayun. And then we have stereognosis, which is the ability to recognize size, shape, and texture of an object. Again, here, we ask the patient to close the eyes, no? And then we give him an object. Like, for example, you give him an artist, no? You ask him to describe what's the shape, what's the size, what's the texture. Minsan kasi they cannot identify, of course, the object. Maybe at least they can describe, no? So yun po, that's the stereognosis. And then we have vibratory sense. This one is the ability to recognize the vibration, no, of a vibrating tuning fork, usually as applied over a bony prominence. Okay, so this will be your vibrating sense or vibratory sense. Okay, so what else? So again, don't forget, these are your discriminative touch modalities. Again, this is the pathway I showed you a while ago, no? So don't, let's not look at it again. Okay. So the next pathway you're going to talk of is conscious proprioception. Take note, we're going to use the same pathway, pare-pareho lang. No, look at that, no? Dorsal column, medial lemniscal pa din. The difference is that the receptors will be your proprioceptors. Doon tayo mag-iiba. Iba yung ating receptors, no? So look at this. So, from the dorsal root ganglion again, we pass through the ipsilateral dorsal column, traveling upward as your fasciculus gracilis and cuniatus, until we reach your nuclei gracilis or cuniatus. And from the nuclei gracilis or cuniatus, which is now N2, this will send off internal arcuate fibers going to the opposite side. No? So we're going to decussate. And this now will eventually form, as we said, your medial lemniscus. Ayun. And from the medial lemniscus, eventually reach the thalamus, specifically again, the BPLN, until we reach, of course, the somesthetic cortex. Ayan, no? So pareho ng pathway kanina, no, sa discriminative touch. The only difference, of course, is your receptor. That's the only difference. So again, we have to make note of this again. These are important, no? Kasi baka itanong sa inyo, what will we use to enter your spinal cord? Like for example, binigay sa inyong level, binigay sa inyo umbilical level, di syempre T10 yun, ano? So you enter through T10, di ba? Ayun. Okay? So these are the things we'd like you to know regarding the pathways. Now here, these are the clinical signs of injury to your lemniscal pathway. No? Firstly, you have the inability to recognize limb position, no? Whether it is in flexion or in extension. This is the one where you usually use, no, the patient's big toe. No? We put the big toe upwards or downwards, and we ask the patient to determine is it upwards or going downwards. Of course, the patient should be having the eyes closed. No? Again, the stereognosis, again, dapat ito, close ang eyes, di ba? So here, this is the inability to recognize familiar objects by touch, as I said, with the eyes closed. Now, loss of 2-point discrimination is the inability to recognize the 2 points applied to the skin simultaneously. Hindi niya may recognize na dalawa yung in-apply mo. No? For this, no, you usually use pointed objects. No? Siguro pwede dalawang toothpick. Okay? Usually, as I said, a little close to each other. Okay? So what else? And then we have what we call your loss of vibratory sense. No? So ano naman to? This is the inability to recognize a vibrating tuning fork as we said, from a non-vibrating tuning fork. Then lastly, we have what we call positive Romberg sign, which is an abnormal increase in the degree of body sway with the eyes closed. So we usually ask the patient to stand in the anatomical position and then to close the eyes, no? And we observe whether there's excessive swaying. Kasi usually there's a little swaying, no? But a patient can control it. But if it's excessive such that the patient might almost fall, that is what we call positive Romberg sign, no? Kaya ayun. So that is the abnormal finding, the positive Romberg sign. So again, now let me just remind you that if you're doing this test, you guard your patient, no? You see to it that the patient will not fall down kasi otherwise magkaka-problem tayo pagka na-injure ang patient natin, di ba? So these are the things you have to remember when you do this testing. Now, and then we're going to look at what we call your unconscious proprioception. No? Remember kanina, ang pinag-usapan natin is conscious proprioception. This one naman is unconscious proprioception. So we have here 3 spinocerebellar tracts. You have the anterior spinocerebellar, the posterior spinocerebellar, and your cuneo-cerebellar tract. Now, what's the difference between these 3? The anterior relays proprioceptive information regarding group of muscles from the lower extremity. Like for example, you're going to relay the proprioception from the anterior muscle group in the femoral thigh, or the anterior, in the anterior thigh, like for example, yung mga muscles mo ng rectus femoris, quadriceps, yung mga quadriceps mo, no? Yun po. This is example of relaying group of muscles, no, from the lower extremity or maybe from the lower leg ang ating pwedeng ibigay, no? Like for posterior leg, di ba? Then for the posterior spinocerebellar, this naman relays proprioceptive information regarding the status of an individual muscle, no? Again, from the lower extremity, no? Like for example, you're going to relay the status of the gastrocnemius, no? So that one is by your posterior spinocerebellar tract. Lastly, the cuneo-cerebellar tract relays proprioceptive information regarding the status of muscles in the upper extremity. So yun lang po ang difference nila, ha? The anterior and the posterior are both proprioceptive information from the lower extremity, whereas the cuneo-cerebellar is from the upper extremity. The anterior is regarding group of muscles from the lower extremity, whereas the posterior is regarding status of individual muscles, again, from the lower extremity. So that will be our differences. Now, all spinocerebellar pathways, of course, will end in the cerebellum. Now, the anterior spinocerebellar tract will eventually terminate in the cerebellum by passing through the superior cerebellar peduncle, whereas the cuneo-cerebellar and the posterior spinocerebellar will terminate in the cerebellum by passing through the inferior cerebellar peduncle. Okay? So, ano oras na ba? Okay, so maybe we can just stop at this muna. Break tayo konti. Maybe we can have a break for 15 minutes. Are you okay? Hello? Break muna tayo. Ano, ayaw niyo na mag-break?
Break po muna. Break po muna.
Oh, nasuka na kayo, no? Ako rin eh. Okay, let's stop muna 15 minutes and then we'll resume again. Okay? Sige, thank you. Or maybe meron po kayong tanong sa napag-usapan na natin previously. Any questions? Are we,
No questions.
ano? May dalawang nagsalita. Sino yun?
None so
No
far
questions.
po.
So far po.
Wala si Bernardo. Sino pa yung isa, lalaki?
No questions so far po.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kadukoy. Dr. Kadukoy. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's start the 15 minutes from now. So we'll be seeing each other again, maybe at, let's say, 1:12. Okay? So 1:12 tayo. Ay, 1:12. 2:12 pala. Okay? Let's see each other again at 2:12. So let's start off with the anterior spinocerebellar tract. No? So since these tracts are all regarding proprioceptions, you will have the same receptors. Pare-pareho sila na we're going to use muscle spindles, the GTOs, or the receptors. No? So for the anterior spinocerebellar, we go to N1 first, which is your DRG. And as we said, we enter either through your sacral, lumbar, or lower 6 thoracic segments because we are in the lower extremity. And then we get into your N2 in the posterior horn cells, specifically nucleus dorsalis, which is in laminae 5 to 7. Now, at this point, we will diverge. We have a majority of fibers and a minority of fibers. The majority of fibers will actually decussate in the white commissure, specifically passing upwards as the contralateral, in the contralateral lateral white column as the anterior spinocerebellar tract. On the other hand, there's a minority of fibers that will ascend ipsilateral, still in the lateral white column. So eventually, both of them will pass, of course, to the superior cerebellar peduncle to get to the cerebellar cortex. Now here, there's an important note here. It says that fibers that cross over in the spinal cord eventually cross back within the cerebellum. So let's look at this tract. Okay. Here, look at this. So the fuchsia, the darker fuchsia here, as you can see, this is the part which decussated, and the lighter fuchsia here, this will be your minority of fibers. This will be the majority of fibers. So this one, the minority actually pass ipsilateral, whereas the majority are in the contralateral. So as we said, this pathway, the anterior spinocerebellar, will pass through the superior cerebellar peduncles. Ito po yan, and we get to your cerebellum. But specifically here, this pathway that was that has decussated will eventually cross back. When it's already in the cerebellum, it will cross back in the ipsilateral side. Ayan. So final destination natin, ipsilateral cerebellar side. So ayan po. So this will be the pathway for your majority. As noted, this is the majority of the pathway, whereas this one is the minority of your spinocerebellar pathways. So let's now go look at your posterior spinocerebellar tract. So this one, from your proprioceptors, again, we pass through your dorsal root ganglion. Likewise, passing through the sacral, lumbar, and lower 6 thoracic segments to get to your N2. No? So the N2 here is still the nucleus dorsalis of Clark, in specifically laminase 7. And so this pathway will pass ipsilateral, no, in the lateral wide column and ascend as the posterior spinocerebellar tract, passing through the inferior cerebellar peduncle to get to your cerebellar cortex. Ayun. So dito po, wala tayong problema. It just passes ipsilateral. Let's look at the pathway. So this one here. So here, no, as you can see, the one here, no, we said these are your nuclei. So the nuclei here will be your nucleus dorsalis. Likewise here, this is your posterior spinocerebellar. The nucleus here also will be your nucleus dorsalis. Now remember, these are your N2. So this one, no, as we said, will pass upward ipsilateral, passing through the inferior, no, cerebellar peduncle to get to your ipsilateral cerebellum. So this is the pathway for the posterior spinocerebellar tract. Now the last pathway will be your cuniocerebellar. Again, using the same proprioceptors, we pass through your N1 or your dorsal root ganglion. This time, we enter the spinal cord through the cervical and upper 6 thoracic segments. Kasi nga sabi natin, dito we're coming from your upper extremity. So the fibers here will travel upward through the ipsilateral dorsal wide column as the fasciculus cuniatus until we reach the nucleus cuniatus, which is now our N2. No? So dito po, there's a difference. The N2 is your nucleus cuniatus. So from the nucleus cuniatus, again, we ascend upwards, ipsilateral, of course, as the cuniocerebellar tract, otherwise known, take notes, there's another name, as the posterior external arcuate fibers. No? As we said, it will pass through the inferior cerebellar peduncle until we reach your cerebellar cortex. Actually, if you look at the pathway here, this is still, this is the same pathway, no? With the exception of the N2, of course, for your cuniocerebellar is different. This should be now the nucleus cuniatus if you're speaking of your cuniocerebellar tract. But if you're using the posterior spinocerebellar, of course, this will be your nucleus dorsalis. No? So yan po yung difference natin. Pero basically, the path travels the same. No? Ipsilateral, passing through the inferior cerebellar peduncle to get to your cerebellum. Okay, so that takes care of all the tracts that will be coming from your back of the head, the neck, and your trunk and limbs. Now let's look at the pathways that arise from the anterior part of the head, or in other words, from the face. All right. So again here, no, these are the learning objectives. We're going to study the pathways, and we're going to give you some common clinical conditions related to these pathways. So this is again the same 3 nuclei or 3 neuron plan. The difference is that, note, no, here, this one, we use this one. So this will be your again, sensory modalities. We pass through the sensory nerve endings. And this time, instead of passing through the dorsal root, we pass through your cranial nerve. And also, instead of the dorsal root ganglion, we pass instead to your cranial nerve ganglion. No? So yan po ang difference natin dito. And of course, the destination will be the brainstem instead, kasi cranial nerves, no? So that will be, wait lang. Sorry po, nag-alarm. All right. So as I was saying, ano ba yun? Mali yata, napapindot. Okay. So yan, this is the one I was saying, no? So this time we enter into the brainstem, and from the brainstem, of course, we cross over also, no? And once we cross over, we travel upwards the same, we pass through your thalamus and eventually into your somatosensory cortex or your somesthetic cortex, no? So pareho lang. That medong pa ulit mamayang difference, I'll tell you what, no? So anyway, let's go look at your somatosensory pathways to the face. No? So all sensory modalities, these are the modalities we're going to speak of. No? You have discriminative touch, proprioception, pain and temperature. They usually enter the brainstem via the trigeminal nerve. No? Now take note, I said usually, no? Kasi mamaya I'll tell you the exception, no? So usually we will enter the the brainstem through your trigeminal nerve, as noted here, no? So the fibers, no, will then enter, of course, into your trigeminal ganglion, regardless of which part of the trigeminal nerve division we use, whether it's ophthalmic, maxillary, or mandibular. Lahat po sila will use your trigeminal ganglion. And then from the trigeminal ganglion, what happens? We then pass on into your pons, where we will eventually get into your trigeminal nuclei. Now, remember the trigeminal nuclei of your, we have three trigeminal nuclei, di ba? We have the mesencephalic, which is for proprioception. We have the main sensory, which is for your touch and pressure. And lastly, we have the spinal nucleus, which is for pain and temperature. So yun po ang difference, no? We have three nuclei that we have to use depending upon the type of sensory modality that we're going to use here. Okay, so let's look now here. Okay, let's look at the pain and temperature pathway first. So we're going to use small diameter C fibers. These are your C fibers, diba? That will carry your pain and temperature and enter, of course, into your mid-pons, no? So the fibers then, once we get to the mid-pons, will turn downward, no, in the brainstem until it reaches the caudal medulla, where we have, of course, your spinal nucleus. Ayan, no? So punta muna tayo agad sa spinal nucleus. Also, it is noted here that the pathway, no, through which the descending axon pass through, no, downwards will be what we call your spinal tract of the trigeminal. There you go, it says there, spinal tract of trigeminal. This is the descending axons or descending pathway that we're speaking of until we reach, of course, your spinal nucleus. No? Now note how it says here, your spinal nucleus may even reach up to your upper cervical cord. Anyway, so from the spinal nucleus, no, we'll usually cross over, ito na, nag-cross over na tayo, and from here, we ascend, no, going to your thalamus. Okay, so we go over to the opposite side. Okay, so the pain and temperature pathway, no, uses, of course, your free nerve endings, because this is for pain and temperature. Now, here, this is the exception I was telling you, no? If your pain and temperature came from the majority of the face, we will use, of course, trigeminal nerve. And so we pass, of course, through your trigeminal ganglion. But if the sensation came from the back of the ears, we'll instead use your facial nerve and use instead your geniculate ganglion. Ayan, depende pa sa source ng ating impulse, no? And lastly, if the impulses came from the skin of the ears, no? Depende sa extent sa ears, di ba? If you remember, you may reach up to your tympanic membrane. You may use either your cranial nerve 9 or glossopharyngeal, or your cranial nerve 10 or the vagus. And so, if you're going to use this, either of these cranial nerves, we may use this ganglia, no? The superior glossopharyngeal ganglion, no? Or the jugular ganglion if that is for your vagus. Ayan. So depende, no? Kung ano ang source ng ating impulse. Okay. So from here, from the N1, eventually, as we said, descend downwards into your medulla to reach your spinal nucleus of trigeminal. And from the spinal nucleus, we cross over to the opposite side to ascend, no, as the trigeminal spinal tract. Now, please note, that is the name of the tract. The trigeminal spinal tract is the pain and temperature pathway for the face. No? So from here, we have already ascended through the trigeminal spinal tract on the opposite side. We then reach again the thalamus. This time, the nucleus is your ventroposteromedial nucleus, or what we call the VPMN. So you please study again your diencephalon. It was written there, no? You remember your sensory nuclei? It said there, if it is the ventroposterolateral that comes from your trunk and extremities, if it's the ventroposteromedial, the impulses came from your face. Ayan. Kaya we used instead the BPMN. So medyo may iba na naman. No? And so from here, we ascend, of course, through the posterior limb of the internal capsule and corona radiata until you reach your somesthetic cortex. Itong part na to, practically the same. No? Walang problema dito. Same lang. Okay? So this will be your pain and temperature pathway from the face. Okay. So this is the example. If we press a lighted cigarette butt on the cheek, no? So this one will use your maxillary trigeminal division, di ba? So from here we pass N1, which is your trigeminal ganglion. And from there, we pass to N2, which is your spinal nucleus of the trigeminal. And from here, we cross over to the opposite side as the trigeminal spinal tract, and we eventually reach your BPMN of the thalamus. Eventually, of course, from here, we reach the opposite. Opposite tayo, di ba? Kasi nag-cross over tayo eh. So, opposite already, opposite BPMN, and of course, opposite somesthetic area also. So ito one way lang, no? And it's of course on the contralateral side. Okay? So that will be your pain and temperature pathway from the face. Now let's look at the discriminative touch and pressure pathway. So here we're going to use large diameter A fibers. No? And here we enter directly into the pons where we have your main sensory nucleus, which we said is for for your touch and pressure, no? Diba? Stimuli. Yan. So ito po, diretso tayo dito sa pons, no? And from here, from the main sensory nucleus, of course, we cross over to the opposite side to ascend going to your thalamus. Okay, let's look at the pathway. So here are the receptors. Again, of course, these are the receptors for pain. Receptors for touch and pressure. And so we get, of course, to your trigeminal ganglion, no, until we reach your N2, which is your main sensory nucleus. Then from the main sensory nucleus, as we said, we will cross over to the opposite side, no, to ascend as the ventral trigeminothalamic tract, no, on the opposite side. Note, these are some of the fibers only, no? Because there will be some fibers that will remain uncrossed, no? And this, on the other hand, will ascend as the dorsal trigeminothalamic tract. So this one is the ipsilateral side. So in other words, pagka sa touch and pressure, we have two ways. We have bilateral, no? We have the ventral trigeminothalamic tract if we are passing contralateral, and we have the dorsal trigeminothalamic tract if we are passing ipsilateral. Okay, so from here, of course, we eventually reach your BPMN of the thalamus, and this time, in the thalamus, we are already bilateral. Kasi two ways na tayo, di ba? So bilateral thalamus, and eventually we reach, of course, the somesthetic cortex, also bilateral. Ayun. No? So na yung difference natin. So what is the example? The example is kiss on the right cheek, no? And specify right cheek. So from the N1, which is your trigeminal ganglion on the right, we eventually get to the main sensory nucleus on the right, and then we ascend as the contralateral ventral trigeminothalamic tract and as the ipsilateral dorsal trigeminothalamic tract. So bilateral. So eventually we reach the BPMN bilateral until we reach also the somesthetic area bilateral. Ayun, no? Yung pinanggalingan natin is ipsilateral, unilateral, no? Then the N2 is also unilateral, but when we get to the thalamus, now we will pass upwards going to the thalamus bilateral. No? One contralateral fibers, the other will be ipsilateral fibers passing upwards. Okay? So this is naman the pathway for your touch and pressure. Then we have the pathway for your conscious proprioception. So here we use these receptors, not the stretch and tendon receptors, which you find in the muscles of mastication. And from here, we enter the brainstem through a small branch of the trigeminal. Look at this, no? So we enter the brainstem through a small branch of the trigeminal, directly going upwards towards your mesencephalic nucleus. Therefore, the mesencephalic nucleus here is your N1. So from the mesencephalic nucleus, we go downwards immediately to your main sensory nucleus, no? And from there, again, we cross over and go upwards towards your thalamus. Ayan, no? So, yan na po yung dadaanan natin. Iba na, no? Wala na tayo dito trigeminal ganglion and so forth. Instead, we only have one mesencephalic nucleus, which is the N1. Okay. So, here, let's look at this. The conscious proprioception, no? The impulses here may come from the muscles of mastication, from the pressure in the teeth, in the periodontal membrane, as well as in the joint capsule of your craniomandibular joint. So from your receptors, no? So again, of course, proprioceptors, kasi we're speaking of proprioception. We go upwards, no? Towards your mesencephalic nucleus, as we said, through a very small branch of the trigeminal, gets into your mesencephalic nucleus, and from there we get to your main sensory nucleus. Now, by the way, ano po yung peripheral as against central processes? Peripheral because these processes are still from outside, kaya peripheral processes, no? Kasi di ba galing sa receptors pa to di ba? Going to your brainstem. Now, this one naman is already in the brainstem, which is going upwards towards your thalamus. Kaya central processes naman tawag dito. No? Kasi baka magtaka kayo, bakit may peripheral at may central? No? It's just the position. Nasaan sila? Ito nasa labas pa, ito nasa loob na ng CNS. Okay. So, again, from the mesencephalic nucleus, as we said, we get to your main sensory nucleus, which is now our N2. And from the N2, we cross over to the opposite side. Now, here again, no, pareho lang, no? Pagpunta natin sa opposite side, there are two pathways again. One will pass contralateral as the ventral trigeminothalamic tract, and one will pass, I should say, ipsilateral as your dorsal trigeminothalamic tract. No? Ulit, dalawa ulit. No? Isang contralateral at isang ipsilateral. Don't forget, pag contralateral, ventral. Pag ipsilateral, it's the dorsal. Okay? Pareho lang dun sa touch and pressure ha, pareho lang. And then, of course, we will eventually reach, of course, again, still, no, the BPMN, no? Bakit BPMN pa rin? Kasi still coming from the face. Ayun. And so here, this already also bilateral until we reach your somesthetic cortex, again, bilateral. Ayun. Huh? So these are the pathways that we're going to pass through. Tatlo lang sa face, no? Isang pain and temperature, isang touch and pressure, at isang proprioception. Okay? Now, this is the example, awareness of chewing, no? So the N1, of course, is the mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal, and then we go to your N2, which is the main sensory. Then we ascend, no? The tract no ascends either as the contralateral ventral trigeminothalamic tract or as the ipsilateral trigeminothalamic tract. Yeah. And then we, of course, reach our ventral-posteromedial nucleus, bilateral, and likewise your semesthetic cortex, bilateral as well. Okay. Ano pa ba? Any questions so far before we go to the clinical correlations? May tanong po ba kayo? Hello, guys. Ay, nandiyan pa ba kayo? Salamat, sumagot ka. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's go look at the clinical correlations. No? First, we have what we call the lesions of the trigeminal ganglion. No? Now, the thing with the trigeminal ganglion is that this is both sensory and motor. No? Sensory impulses pass through this, as well as the motor impulses also pass through this. No? So for the manifestations will be loss of pain, temperature, and tactile sensations from the ipsilateral face, oral cavity, and teeth. So ito po yung lahat ng modalities na minention natin. No? You also have ipsilateral loss of corneal reflex, and ipsilateral paralysis of masticatory muscles. Kasi sabi nga natin, even the motor is included, no, sa trigeminal ganglion. And then we also have what we call trigeminal neuralgia or tic douloureux. This is severe but brief pain, no, restricted to the distribution of maxillary division of cranial nerve 5. No? So yung ang naapektuhan usually the cheek area. So the pain is initiated by any contact to the face like shaving, putting on makeup, chewing, or even smiling. No? So you will experience severe but brief pain. And then we have what we call your PICA syndrome. Now here, what is involved is your posterior inferior cerebellar artery. And the posterior inferior cerebellar artery supplies, no, both your trigeminospinal tract as well as the anterolateral system, because this is in the medulla. So both of these tracts are involved, no? Trigeminospinal, spinal kasi nandun yung spinal nucleus, di ba? Anterolateral system kasi from below meron na rin thyroid. Remember, anterolateral system involves your pain and temperature pathway from the body and limbs, as well as the touch and pressure from the body and the limbs. No? So these tracts are served, no, by the posterior inferior cerebellar arteries. Siya po yung nagsusupply, no, sa mga tracts na ito at the medulla. So what is a characteristic feature of this syndrome? You will see alternating hemianesthesia. Now, what is alternating hemianesthesia? Now, let's first define hemianesthesia. Hemi, of course, means one half, and you will feel anesthesia on one half, no, on one side of the body. Kaya hemi. Okay. So you may feel hemianesthesia on one side of the head and hemianesthesia on the opposite side of the body and extremities. Ayun. Yun po ibig sabihin ng alternating hemianesthesia. No? So sa face, let's say it's on the right side, but in the body and the limbs, it will be on the left side. Again, that will be alternating hemianesthesia. So what else? You may also have what we call pontine gliomas. So firstly, what's a glioma? A glioma is a tumor, no, starting in the glial cells of either the brain or the spinal cord. Now, since our condition is in the pons, so this one, of course, ano ba meron tayo sa pons? We have there both our motor nucleus of the trigeminal as well as the main sensory nucleus of the trigeminal. That is why what will be affected will be, no, the muscles. So you'll have paralysis of the muscles of mastication, kasi nga motor, di ba? As well as loss of tactile input, kasi nga nandun yung main sensory nucleus. So both of these nuclei will be damaged. The motor and the main sensory nuclei will be damaged, resulting in the following manifestations. Okay? So these are the things we'd like you to know for today. Meron po ba tayong tanong further? Ayaw magtanong? Nainis kayo, no? Sobrang haba. Okay. So let's stop at that. If you have no questions. Sure, walang question. Naintindihan nyo? Madali lang.
Naman po.
Okay, thank you.